you ready for this.
Gonna be fun.
Do not stand in my way.
Frostborn, hunger. This pleases me.
I do not fear you, mortal.
Your soul shall be mine.
Don't make me laugh.
Needs a brew? Oh, I do. Feel a shredding, baby. Let the battle begin.
So hello and welcome to the 72nd episode of the Nexus Trolls, a podcast all about Heroes of the Storm, part of the Trolls.gg Entertainment Network. I'm your host, Daz, and I'm joined today, as always, by Mystic. Mystic, you got your Phoenix, bud. You happy?
Oh yeah, he's man, I'm really happy. I also think that he's going to be quite strong coming into the Nexus.
Checking off another one of those StarCraft characters that you've been dying to have. Who's next on the list for you from StarCraft that you really want? There's got to be another one.
Well, I mean, I'd love to see either like some sort of battle cruiser or a carrier hero come into the Nexus. I think that'd be really cool.
Cool. Well, hopefully soon. And joining us today, special guest, president of Trolls.gg, LiQuiuD. You may have known him as a former host of the show. Yes, LiQuiuD's had... I feel like the universe has been plotting against LiQuiuD coming on the show on a regular basis. We almost always have to have a sub come in last minute. And LiQuiuD, I lost $100 betting on you today.
No, you didn't.
I took the odds-on favorite that you wouldn't be able to show up. And you know what? Your power went out like an hour ago. And I was like, nice. Vegas is going to be writing me a paycheck. But then your power came back on, and here you are. But you know what? I wish I could say I was sad to lose that $100, but I'm glad you're here, bud.
Wow, that's awesome. I can't believe you bet against me. I don't know how I feel about this now. So yeah, I'm happy to be here. It's been a while. A lot of stuff has gone on to make it more difficult than it should be to be here. But I got to do Troll and HCC with Bags last night, and here doing the Nexus Trolls again with you guys, so it's been a good week.
And this is your first time doing the new format Nexus Trolls too. And we've
we've
been waiting for you to come onto this so you can give us your feedback to see if this is something we're going to stick with. So I'm really glad to get you into this whole like PTI style, the Nexus Trolls.
I'm looking forward to it. Yeah,
and it should be fun. It's a little bit more hectic than the usual one, but it's a lot of fun. Before we get into the show, though, we're going to thank our Patreons over at patreon.com/trollsgg. If you're looking for a way to support the show, you can do so over there. Every little bit helps, and it's very much appreciated if you do. And that being said, our Troll of the Week this week is Enderwigan. For those of you that don't know, we're starting up a beer league with the Gank Bush Squad Nexus Commentary starting in a couple weeks called Bush League. We'll be talking a little bit more about that later. Well, Enderwigan had the sad fortune of being stuck on mine and LiQuiuD's team, and Lord Boo, our editor, as well. So poor Enderwigan stuck with all the trolls. But you know what? He watches the show. He's a big fan of Gank Bush Squad, and he's going to sign up for the league. So, you know, thanks to Enderwigan for being our Troll of the Week. That being said, let's just jump right into the news, shall we?
Someday, this will make a great story.
LiQuiuD, you've been gone so long, you don't know that's a rhetorical question?
I know. You know what? On my show, it's not a rhetorical question. Bags is like, yeah, man, let's do it. And we jump into it. So, yeah.
I'm throwing you off your game. I should have just been like,
You
LiQuiuD,
are.
are we ready for the news? Sometimes I ask you, though, like when you're trying for your esports, I'm like, you ready for
Right?
it? But I just wanted to
That's
throw you
why.
off.
That's why I was like, I was expecting that. So, yeah, it's all good, man. It's all good.
So anyhow, let's go into the news. So the first item on the docket is Bush League teams are now set. Again, Bush League, like I mentioned just a couple minutes ago, is a beer league that we've set up with Gank Bush Squad as well as Nexus Commentaries. You can check out it at trolls.gg/bush-league. The link for that will be in the show notes. But the teams are all set. We've got 4 teams. We're going to be playing 1 game a week. So there'll be 2 games total because Team 1 versus Team 2 and Team 3 versus Team 4. It's going to be cast by Stixa, Gonjagoon, and Nexus Commentaries. All of them have just recently confirmed. It's going to be a lot of fun. We've got a lot of great personalities. It's going to be a cool little league, very casual. It should be a lot of fun. If you're interested too, head over to that website, again, trolls.gg/bush-league, because we might actually expand to 6 teams if there's enough interest. So there's a form there to sign up. Definitely check it out. We've got a couple weeks before we start, so head over there and check it out. It's going to be a lot of fun. Also, some news too. I'm going to be on Heroes Forge. I'm hosting it with Jeff Reynolds awesome guy. Met him in person at BlizzCon. Can't wait to do Heroes Forge with him. We had him and Kristen on the Nexus Trolls probably like 20 episodes ago or so. We did like a little mini forge on the show. I somehow slid away from having to forge a hero because I was kind of like hosting while everyone else was forging. So it's going to be exciting. We're going to go on there. We've got the hero picked and everything that we're going to do, but I don't know if we've announced it yet. So I'm going to like leave that to Jeff to announce, but it's going to be a lot of fun. We got a really great hero picked out. It's going to be great. It's on Sundays, Sunday at 3 p.m. Eastern, 12 p.m. Pacific at twitch.tv/amovetv. And their website's heroforge.club if you're looking for it. So yeah, check it out. We also had a PTR patch drop. We're going to be covering that in our PTI segment, the Troll and the Nexus segment, but it came along with Fenix, Varian rework, and a Tracer rework, which we're going to delve into, and I'm sure everyone's going to have lots to talk about, especially LiQuiuD on the Varian rework. I imagine he's got lots of things to say since, you know, that tank just got reworked quite drastically too. But we won't belabor that because we're going to be talking about it later. But LiQuiuD, there was some Heroes of the Dorm news that just popped today too. You want to tell us about that?
Yeah, so today on ESPN, the dorm brackets were announced, so you could see the top 64 and where they all fit. You could also put in your bracket for the bracket challenge. Winner of that, if you get a perfect bracket, could win $1 million. Check that out. Also, they announced where the finals will be, and those are in the Blizzard Esports Stadium in Burbank, California. And tickets are on sale. They're like $20 a ticket. They may be sold out soon, but I feel like they still had a few tickets left. So definitely check those out. It'll be awesome. I'm not going this year, but I'm definitely hoping to go next year and check out the esports stadium. I may go later this year if they do the first week of BlizzCon at the stadium and allow people to go check it out.
That'd be super cool. You'd imagine they got to try and get as much use out of it as possible too, as long as it's not being overwhelmed with Overwatchers. You think they'd try and slide a couple Heroes events in there too, like Dorm, which will be exciting. So, Mystic, have you filled out your bracket yet?
I have not.
$1 million. We're crunching the numbers. The odds are fairly against your favor, well, everybody's favor, if you consider everything just to be a 50-50 pick. Like 2 to the power of 64 or whatever it is many billions, trillions, lots of zeros anyways. But still, it's like, you know, like buying a free lottery ticket, right?
So you have to get all 64 teams correct, and you have to get the score of the grand final perfect to win the $1 million.
Oh boy. Yeah. So, hey, man can dream, right? I feel like if I knew a bit more, it's tough too because a lot of these teams are very unknown. Like you can't just look at how they did last year too because the teams might be completely different. I guess you can look to see how they did in the group stages, but
yeah, I was gonna say you can look to see how they did in the last couple of weeks. A lot of the teams also play in open division, so you can see how they did there. You can look at hot slogs profiles on a lot of the players. Like if you want to get deep, there are ways to figure out who's going to do how good.
I'll be impressed if anyone even just gets like the first 2 rounds right. It'll be cool. It'd be really cool is if Blizzard had a list of people still in it, like going forward too. Because that'd be cool to see. Be like, oh my gosh, there's like 3 people still in it, and like you're in the semifinals. Like, hey, like maybe there's a chance someone might get it. You can kind of root for them, right?
Yeah. That would be kind of cool.
But anyhow, let's get into the next segment. We got a patch that dropped today. I spent a lot of my morning writing up our show notes today, and then I finally get into work, and LiQuiuD sends me a message on Discord. Hey, a patch dropped. It's like, damn Blizzard. It's like, why didn't we DDoS them this morning to stop that from happening? Because we already have a ton to talk about. But you know what? It happened. So what we're going to do, and we talked about a little bit like how we can fit a patch into this new format. We're going to do a patch notes blitz. So it's very similar to the Troll and the Nexus segment where we have a certain amount of time for each like topic. But this time we're just going to have a certain amount of time for each hero. And we're going to cut it really short. We're going to see how this goes. We're going to do a minute per hero. I'm going to talk about the changes and we'll have a minute to discuss. There's 12 heroes that got reworked. So we'll start with the first 6. And then we'll go along from there and see how it goes. So we've got Greymane, Maiev, Thrall, Vala, Zul'jin, and Medivh are our first group here. So I'll get the clock ready to get started here. But anyhow, let's hey, actually, Mystic, do you want to take us over the changes on Greymane while I do some of the bookkeeping here for the timer?
Okay. So all right. So Greymane changes. They changed his Razor Swipe cooldown increase from 3 to 4, which is going to hurt him quite a lot actually, because 3 to 4 seconds on a ability that he kind of wants to spam is actually pretty huge. And then to make up for a little bit of that, they put in for level 13 visceral attacks, cooldown reduction of Razor Swipe from basic attacks is increased from 1 to 1.5 seconds per basic attack. So basically, if you don't take this talent, then the Razor Swipe is just a flat-out nerf for everything. And then visceral attacks, if you take it, then it's kind of like a equalizer there. So I don't know. I usually don't take visceral attacks, but the cooldown increase on the Razor Swipe might be
as someone who likes
you and go ahead.
No, you gotta interrupt and go.
All right, you and many other people don't take visceral attacks. It's the least picked talent on hot slogs. This change is just bad all around. This is no good. Unless you don't want Greymane in the meta anymore, then sure, go for it.
It's tough because Razor Swipe is that movement ability he has. It doesn't just do damage; it also does displacement. So if you're trying to get away, use your Q, you run away, then use your E, and usually that's got a lot of distance to give you in that disengage. But now you gotta wait that extra second. That could be a crucial second that could really ruin your life as a
Job's
Greymane.
Long enough to die.
Long enough to die. Holy crap! A minute goes fast. Okay, next on the docket is Maiev. Okay, her changes here, Vault of Wardens, the cooldown was increased, again, from 9 to 12 seconds. Fan of Knives, the damage was reduced by 6%. Mystic called that one. Containment Disc got a pretty sizable cooldown reduction from 65 to 50 seconds, so you can span that one a little bit more easily. Warden's Cage, the cooldown was increased from 80 to 100 seconds. And level 4 got a change on to Blade Dance. Q, that's the one where Q does damage around Maiev. The damage around Maiev has been reduced by 7%. And then level 13 Shadow Armor, that's where Blink grants you 20 armor. It's now 20 armor. It used to be 25. So Mystic, will pass the ball to you to start this discussion.
All right, Vault of the Wardens, cooldown increase. Yeah, it was pretty warranted. Fan of Knives, damage decrease. Yep, that's a good one. Containment Disc. Oh, it's pretty good now, especially if you compare it to the 100-second Warden's Cage. I really don't think they need to increase the cooldown, but I mean, they did. Blade Dance, really good. I mean, that was a talent that needed to be nerfed. They're hitting all of Maiev's strong points here. Shadow Armor, also really easy talent to use, and it was also very strong, so they hit that one too. I agree with a lot of these changes.
I feel like Containment Disc...
OP. She was OP. She was in 100% of the Eastern class matches. She had to be dealt with. This is how they did it.
Is Containment Disc going to be the taking over ultimate here now? Because that's a pretty strong cocoon-like talent that can't be broken.
I think it's very strong. I think people will start taking it a lot more even because Warden's Cage is 100 seconds. So
it's a 35-second swap.
Yeah,
just got it in.
We can actually bleed over a little bit, LiQuiud, so don't
I mean, it's 30, right? It's I know, but it's 35-second differential between them now, between the nerf and the buff. So
yeah,
it's gonna be used.
Next on the list is Thrall. Thrall's Crash Lightning. Max bonus reduced from 480 to 360, and quest completion increased from 20 to 30 stacks, which also happens to coincide with his max level bonus. So I'll start with the ball with this one because I play a lot of Thrall, and this is obviously a huge nerf. We've been seeing a lot of Thrall just constantly first ban, first pick material, and after that 20% bounce increase, Crash Lightning was just way too easy to stack. This makes it a little bit harder to get that maximum value out of, and pushes a little bit of that talent spike to later game as well. Do you guys think this is enough to get Thrall out of it?
Oof.
They hate Green Jesus so much. They hate Green Jesus, man. Then his I'm OP lasted a week, and they were like, ha, slam.
This still is the same effect though until you get to max stacks, right? Or at least till you get to 20 stacks. It's the exact same as it was pre-nerf Thrall, if you want to call it that.
Yeah, but 20 stacks, not that long.
Yeah, the 30 stacks. I think that's when it starts bouncing to people, right? Yeah, I think it makes it a lot less fun to play. I think they should have just nerfed the damage. I think the 20 stack on the quest
Job's done.
Bounce to people was actually okay.
I think I'm going to increase the timer to minute 30 because a minute is way too short for this.
We're chugging along. We got
That's true.
this.
Do you guys like the 1 minute? Should we keep it going?
Yeah, let's do it.
Sure, why not?
It's a blitz, man. It's a blitz.
Yeah, it is a blitz. And you know what? We don't want to get dragged through these patch notes too. So next on the list is Vala. Vala had her multi-shot damage increased by 4%. LiQuiuD, do you want to take the ball on this one?
I do. It's not enough. It's too little, too late. Vala has lost her place in the meta. If you look, she's gone. She's never picked anymore, never really used. This is a nice, oh, God, we need to do something for Vala, but I just don't think it's enough. It's just not.
Do you think we're going to see another buff to her soon?
Those
If
Overwatch
they
heroes.
competitive. Right. No, that's the problem. You're absolutely right. The Overwatch heroes do the same job as her, but better. If they want her back in the meta, they're going to have to do more to her. That 4% is not going to be enough.
Is this going to bring back the multi-shot build? Because, I mean, we've seen a lot of Q build Vala is the only really one that's more or less viable now. What do you think, Mystic?
I mean, that's like the only niche that she might have over Hanzo. And even then, like, it does less damage than a Hanzo Q. So, and Hanzo even has his, like, explosion for creep damage. And that's basically multi-shot as... You know, if you hit a creep wave, so
maybe Hanzo's still better.
Job's done. Maybe she's an explosion on her Q when it hits a minion. Maybe that'd put on fire. Okay, next up is Zul'jin. Zul'jin has basic attack damage increased by 4%, and level 13 Mystic's favorite ability, Ensnare, the activatable that you throw a little net to root your target. That skill shot. The cooldown has been reduced from 60 to 45 seconds. Mystic, we're giving you the ball on this one, as you could probably have guessed.
Hey, when it was my favorite ability, it was a heroic and it did the exact same thing. I'm joking. So Ensnare is actually, you know, it's pretty good for level 13, especially if you take the guillotine, because if you take guillotine, and you land this Ensnare, it's a guaranteed guillotine. So along with that, even if you don't take guillotine, you can use it to just sit there auto-attacking someone for a good, you know, couple seconds that the Ensnare is active.
But the other two talents are still better.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, how do you... I have Zul'jin basic attack grant movement speed, and you've buffed his basic attack damage. Why would I take Ensnare?
And 4% is a pretty big spike, a pretty big jump here too. So I think this is actually a pretty large buff, just the basic attack damage on its own. Like level 13 and Snare, I guess you can argue that's just a balancing of talent choices on 13 to try and bring up the pick rate for that one a little bit.
Right.
Okay.
Job's done.
Next on, we've got Medivh. Level 7 Arcane Explosion, which had a 70% pick rate that decided, you know, we got to do something to this. So this Arcane Explosion, what it did was AoE damage when his W shield expired. Max cap of additional explosion damage from damage absorbed is now down by 4%. So it would do a base level damage, but also it would do AoE damage based on how much the shield absorbed. So that maximum cap they had on that damage it could do, based on the absorbed damage, it has been decreased by 4%. It's a bit of a mouthful, but that's how it works. Force of Magic, now also on level 7, this one had an 8% pick rate. It got a bit of a buff. This is where you got bonus spell power if you protected enough damage to meet this threshold. So now the bonus spell power duration will go up from 12 to 15 seconds, giving you more opportunity to land that next W to keep up your spell power for the duration of whatever the team fighter engagement is. Level 13, Reabsorption. That's where you got more healing based on the amount of shielding you did. It used to be 20%, but go up to 50% with this talent choice. Now it's 60%. So Mystic, why don't we start the ball with you, since this is a very high skill cap character, and you are the highest skill cap person here.
Yep.
All right, Arcane Explosion. I think Blizzard hit the nail on the head with this one. They really just needed to nerf the numbers on it. It was fine as a talent. It's just that it was doing too much damage. The other stuff, I mean, Force of Magic, it's okay. I mean, the increase in the time that it's up is pretty good. And then Reabsorption, I mean, 10% more is just 10% more, right? It's okay.
What about this Samuro Medivh combo you were talking about off camera there, LiQuiuD? Do you think that's going to be viable still? You want to tell us about that?
I do think it's viable still. I think it's not as strong. but part of it is what Medivh can give the Samuro clones together. The shield is still good. You drop 3 Samuro clones doing crazy damage right on top of an enemy hero, and then the explosion on top of it, even though the explosion's not as large, you're still going to wreck some players.
And it's the Venn diagram explosion, too. So if you're in that
Right,
overlap,
right.
extra
Job's
damage.
done.
Right.
Okay. Next hero, we've got Ariel. So let's move down to Ariel. Changes to Ariel. Basic attack damage increased by 19%.
Sorry.
She
go ahead.
hit with a pillow before, but still 19% is a significant buff.
Now it's a wet noodle.
Now it's a wet noodle. The pillow has been upgraded to maybe an al dente noodle, like somewhat harder, somewhat soft. Anyways,
Are we
Yeah,
on
yeah,
cast?
I
Are
can
we
go
on
with
cast
that.
at our laser tier?
getting close. Okay, Detainment Strike had a cooldown reduction from 14 to 12 seconds. Resurrect range was increased from 5 to 7, and the cooldown of it was reduced from 100 to 80. As if you're going to take that over Crystal Aegis still, but whatever. Level 7 Energized Cord. This is where the energy stored from hitting non-heroes. Energized Cord. This is where you get extra energy from hitting heroes and non-heroes as Ariel. The energy stored from hitting non-heroes has been reduced from 50 to 40%, probably because the basic attacks have gone up. Level 13 Blinding Flash. This had a 61% pick rate, so it got nerfed a little bit. The blind duration of when you hit someone with your Q in the center of the Q has been reduced from 2.25 to 2 seconds. And level 20, this is the tier where you've got Shield Hope being picked like 74% of the time, so they wanted to address this. Diamond Resolve. The armor given to Crystal Aegis target upon expiry has been increased from 50 to 60. Then Angelic Flight, the Falstad flight type ability, the cooldown has been reduced from 45 to 30 seconds. Mystic, you want to take the ball on this one?
All right. So Resurrect, I mean, you tempted me here, Blizzard. I think that I might take this talent sometimes, but only sometimes. And even then, it's kind of like it's almost like an out of combat res. But 80 seconds, I think I'd pick it. I'd pick it sometimes. Everything else is like, she needs a little bit more healing, a little bit more energy here and there. Blinding Flash, that's actually really big power on Oriel, and since they nerfed it, it's still really good.
It's still the go-to.
Yeah,
Even
it's still
the
the
nerf,
go-to.
it's the go-to.
And then last, like level 20, I don't know. I still think Shield of Hope is gonna be the go-to too. There doesn't really change that much.
Pretty powerful. More damage, more healing. Someone said that in chat, right? Like that's pretty valuable. And also, I think Detainment Strike coming 2 seconds quicker is pretty impactful as well to give a little bit more CC to her kid.
Yeah, just a little bit.
It's not enough. She's still kind of weak for a healer.
And how
Job's
can you
done.
how can you not take Aegis Mystic? That's such an impactful ultimate.
Yeah, why? No, just it's the he had the ball talking.
Yeah,
That's all that is.
don't listen to Mystic, everybody. Generally, 99% of the time he's good. That was a 1%.
Hey, we'll play some games after this, and I'll take that Resurrect. I'll show you guys.
Done.
He's in the 9.8% on hot slugs. That's all.
Well, there's got to be someone picking these talents, right? Like, there's never a
Right.
talent with 0% pick rate. Okay, next on the list is Malfurion. Level 1 Nature's Swiftness got a change. This is where movement speed, you get movement speed based on how many heroes you had an active regrowth on. The movement speed has been reduced from 5% to 4% per hero, so that caps out a little bit lower. Level 16, Nature's Balance. This is where increased Moonfire rate is by 25% and regrowth duration by 5 seconds. Regrowth duration is now only 3 seconds. Malfurion. I have a hell of a time playing Malfurion since his rework. Much higher skill cap than he used to be. He's really popular and competitive. Like, do you think this is going to take him out of that slot a little bit? I mean, some of these are...
No. The 1% makes him go from... I can't even think of a good explanation of how fast he was. It's like going from race card to Haka to moderately fast card to Haka, right? Like, it's still fast enough that that's not going to make a difference. It just isn't.
I guess realistically, you probably have like 3 regrowths on people, so you're going from 15 to 12.
15 versus 12 is not enough that you're like, maybe I shouldn't do this. But 15 was large enough that they're like, you're going almost mount speed. Maybe we should back it down a little. So I get why they went to what they did, but it's not enough to make a difference.
And putting the level 16 regrowth duration down a little bit makes so you can't get as many queues up on people
Right.
too, so you won't have, past level 16 that extra bonus movement speed because theoretically you might have your queue on an extra
Job's
person.
done.
Exactly.
That was a minute. Holy crap.
That was a minute.
Okay.
And yeah, I'm gonna go over just a little.
Yeah, go
that
ahead.
one was really this talent's overpicked. Let's nerf it a little. That's
Yeah.
all that was.
Baby touches, right? Baby touches.
Yeah.
Next up,
Better baby touches than the Zarya changes that we went through.
next in the docket is Artanis. Blade Dash and Twin Blades both got mana cost reduce. Level 13 Templar's Zeal, which had a 5% pick rate. This is where your Blade Dash cooldown rate is increased from 200. It was 200% when you're below 50% health. It's now the cooldown rate is increased by 300% when 50% health. This seems somewhat powerful. I mean, that's a really quick cooldown. If you're in that kind of clustered fight, you rely on your Q to get that shield back up again. Mystic, is this gonna make this a really good talent to take?
I think they're really trying to push this one hard, and I think they may have pushed it over the edge. I think that his other talents are really strong, but come on, 300% cooldown
Triple
on the
strike,
Q.
bro.
But
Twin Blades
300%
3 times.
cooldown. This is
Twin
so.
Blades 3 times, man.
It's so funny. You just.
So here's the thing.
I'd like to see the math on this though, because
That's what I was gonna say. Do the math between the difference at 200 and 300%. I don't think it's enough that it's gonna change your mind.
But it's not just the damage; it's also the survivability you can get back too. If you're in a clustered fight, you use your Q on multiple people, that reduces the cooldown drastically for your shield. So it's damage and shield, whereas the extra hit doesn't reduce the cooldown nearly as much.
So funny to
Job's
see
done.
this talent.
I want to see Mystic
hold
play
on,
with this
like-
talent later today too.
We can go on, but I just Blade Dash was 10 seconds. It's a 1 second difference. 200% versus 300%.
So now it's going to be 3 seconds as opposed to 5 seconds, right? Or 3.3, I guess.
3-second dash.
So it's a 10-second cooldown, and at 200%, that means under 50%, it's 3.5.
You can see our
versus 5.
brains exploding. I mean, we'd have to check the numbers just to verify for sure. But I think it's 5 seconds. If previously, now it's 3.3.
Yeah, 3.5.
Assuming there's nothing like crazy with the math. But yeah, that 3 seconds versus 5 seconds. That's a pretty big difference. Anyways, we'll have to see how this shakes out. I'm gonna put my little ballot in for this is gonna be a strong talent. I think this is gonna tip the balance.
Can I just throw out there that I hate Artanis and we move on? I don't know what it is either, because I've been solo laning a lot and I hate Artanis.
Someone
I don't know
in
what
chat
it is.
nano boosted Artanis. Oh man, he's everywhere.
Just non-stop's always up is key.
That's
I
a
like
real-
Artanis's. Artanis's that dodge in and I can spear make my life easy.
You've been playing like Sonya non-stop. That's the problem.
I have.
So you've got a Sonya skewed vision of the world.
There's nothing wrong with playing Sonya nonstop, just so we're clear.
There's nothing until you grind out of silver and you'll realize people can actually counter you properly. But that's a story for another day. Next on the list is Blaze, who's maybe unlike Artanis for LiQuiUD, hella fun to play, at least I think so. You got to change to Bunker Drop.
Yeah.
Bunker Drop's cooldown has been increased from 40 to 50 seconds. And Exit Bunker now has a 1 second cooldown, so you can't in out just to get that armor.
Dude, it was so much fun. Oh my god, it was so much fun.
Well, LiQuiUD, you've got the ball, sir. So tell us about how much fun it is.
So, I mean, it's a good change. If you watched any of Western Clash where they really abused Blaze's bunker this way, you could see that it was ugly and it needed something done, because they were like in, out. It was in, Q, out, in, Q, out, in, Q, out. So you'd quickly just throw a flamethrower, pop out with armor, pop in, flamethrower, pop out with armor. It was brutal. They needed to do both of these changes. I think these are good. These will bring Blaze back in line with where he should be, but still not take him out of that top tier tank.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy because it kind of made you, as long as you had the bunker, you were immune to all targeted spells. So it's like,
Right.
It's a bit too strong.
And poisons too. I can't believe it cleansed that kind of thing. It just cleanses everything. It's a pretty amazing talent. But yeah, I mean the extra 10 seconds, that's
Job's done.
pretty significant for this ultimate.
Yep.
Okay, LiQuiUD. Guess who's
Yeah.
next? We've got Sonya. Sonya had a few changes here. We might let LiQuiuD go a little overtime if he needs to. Level 1 Furious Blow, the W, which is only picked 10% of the time, probably because it's up against two pretty strong alternatives. Every fourth cast of Slam does 50% damage. Now that's up from 40%. Level 4, she got changed to Battle Rage. This is the amazing activatable ability where you could press the 1 button or whatever button it was on to restore 10% health. And also you get extra merc damage too, just tossed in there on the side. The max charges was reduced from 3 to 2 for this one. And the charge per use cooldown, so like between uses, you could use only one every 8 seconds now instead of between every 5 seconds, which makes a big difference as well because, team fights, you need to be spamming that one as fast as possible with that heal back. Level 13, Mystical Spear guy changed. Blizzard was saying they thought there was too much synergy between the spear talents. So Mystical Spear, this is the one that we've had since the beginning of Sonya time, where the spear will always pull. It also gave you a cooldown reduction on your spear. The cooldown reduction has been dropped from 3 to 2 seconds now. And this kind of goes hand in hand level 16 to Rampage. It's a passive ability. Basic attacks only reduce the cooldown of Q now by 0.5 seconds down from 0.75. So you won't have that spear up nearly as much if you do the 13-16 combo that we just discussed. So LiQuiuD, you got the ball.
All right. So level 1, no changes. Furious Blow still sucks. So people won't pick it. War Paint and Tough as Nails are just better options. Level 4, the Battle Rage change. The stacks, the max stacks going from 3 to 2 is not actually that big of a deal. When I'm playing her and the other Sonya people I've talked to, 2 charges is actually enough. The bigger problem is the cooldown change from 5 to 8 seconds. So only having 8 having to wait 8 seconds now to use that heal is kind of a bummer, but it's still a really good, talent to take on that tier, so I think it'll still be probably the most picked. The changes to the spear are annoying, but actually still not that bad. You'll still have spear up all the time if you end up taking the 13 and the 16 talent, which are actually good talents to take at those tiers, unless for some reason you need like Nerves of Steel or Ruthless or No Escape for like given the comp you're in. But yeah, it's annoying but still good.
She's still OP. These are pretty
not
big nerfs, but it's a nerf across the board.
So, yes. What gives her the OP-ness is not necessarily the things that Blizzard hit. Well, I take that back. The 13-16 kind of made her OP, but the nerf is not enough to make her truly not OP, right? Like, that spear's up a lot. I've never, post-16, ever had the spear not be up when I wanted it. And then God help you post 20 because like that spear length is just gigantic.
Yeah. What'd you say last time? It was like fort to fort.
Tomb of the Spider Queen, wall to wall.
Not even close.
It's not quite that far, but
I remember going in game after I was like, I better not be wrong in this one. I throw out a spear on level 20. It's like
I exaggerated. I exaggerated a lot. I know I did.
It's called artistic license.
It's long. It's really long. So it's fun though because you can like. You can nail people a long way away. So it's fun. I like it. I enjoy it. I still think she's great. She's just not at the higher level of play. She's not S tier anymore. She's probably like tier 1.5, like somewhere in between tier 1 and 2.
Tyrael got a bit of a nerf today too, to a very important talent through his talent tree. Justice for All level 1. This is where it shields everyone for 100% of Tyrael's shields. If you don't take it, it's only 40% for everybody else other than Tyrael. Now it only shields everyone 75%. I guess they thought Tyrael was too much of an off support for his own good. LiQuiuD, you want to start with the ball here?
This was a sad day for Tyraels everywhere. He wasn't an off support, but he definitely provided a lot of value. And that shields changing is just not good.
Tyrael was pretty popular in the clashes, correct?
Yes.
So is this a targeted HGC
and for this?
I guess this is a nerf
reason.
for everybody. Like,
yes. Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah, it's too bad. I mean, I feel like he's not outperforming everyone in like the pub leagues, but I guess they had to nerf him because of his dominance, or at least perceived dominance in HGC.
Yes. Well, and like specific comps that worked really well for him, right? Like there were definitely comps that worked for him that I don't think Blizzard intended for.
Like the Tyrael
Does that make
Greymane?
sense?
Yeah, for sure. I mean,
Yeah.
Blizzard never
Tyrael
knows
Greymane, or
everything is going to pop out.
even like Juice Pirates with Tyrael was stronger.
Job's done.
All right, well,
Because of the free shields.
Poor Tyrael. Okay, so that means that we're getting into the next portion of the show, which is just our standard Trolling the Nexus segment. Now, if you haven't watched the show in the past couple of weeks, we have changed the format. It is going pretty similar to the way the last format went, except we've got 5 minutes per topic. This is a little bit of a longer format, so like a blitz that we just did for the patch notes. So we've got 8 topics that we're going to be covering today. We're going to be talking about the Eastern Clash, expectations for Phase 2, the in-development drop that we just got, Phoenix. We're going to talk about Phoenix. We've got double time on Phoenix, too. We're going to talk about him for 10 minutes instead of 5. The Varian Shit Show. Thanks, LiQuiuD, for coming up with that title. Tracer, still annoying. LiLi's Little Adventure. That's for LiLi's little tweak on the PTRs, on the PTR as well. And then Fixing the Chair League, because Chair League canceled their recent season. We'll be talking about that as well. So, starting off with the Eastern Clash. So, LiQuiuD, tell us about the Eastern Clash and what happened.
What happened? So Tempest did not succeed in being the end-all be-all that I had said Tempest would be, which is a huge bummer for me, but that's okay because, we got some really great games out of it. Ballistics lost and then did what Zealots couldn't do in the Western Clash and won in the grand final. We had China completely letting me and Kendrick Swish and Tetra down and not doing well at all. But like good games overall, right? Like all of the games were interesting to at least watch. The time zone sucked. Games started at, I want to say 3 a.m. or 2 a.m. here. It was brutal. I on the last day, I just watched them when I woke up because it was just rough.
So if you had to compare the Eastern Clash to the Western Clash in terms of like excitement level, how would you compare it? Because the Western Clash, everyone has been saying that it's one of the greatest LAN tournaments in a while.
That's an interesting question. The Western Clash gets so much hype because of where it was and what was going on at the time. So if you look at where Western Clash was, it was at Intel Extreme Masters, which is a huge LAN event for a number of esports in Katowice every year. And so there's always a huge hyped esports crowd there. Always. No questions. That's just the way it is. In Taipei, for the Eastern Clash, we didn't have that. It was in the esports studio where they had tickets, but it was only people that were in Taiwan that got to go to the event. It was like you didn't have the draw of like a bunch of other esports pulling in people from around the world. You had the people in Taiwan. So you might have had some people from China travel. You might have had some people, you get like some hardcore fans of Korean and Chinese HGC teams that may have traveled to see the games. But for them, like you didn't have that same ambiance that you did out of the Western Clash because you were at IEM.
Does it make that much of a difference though? Like if you're there, obviously it would. But if you're watching the tournament on Twitch, you're hearing the casters. You're not necessarily hearing the crowd all the time. You're watching the games. It's more the games, the storylines, isn't it, that makes it more of a draw to watch?
Okay, so from that, so that was what I went over first, was just like the physical on presence, right? From the Twitch and the viewer point of view, if you consider that not a lot of people watch China or Korea, period. Like that's just, if you look at the numbers, not a lot of people watch Korea in the mornings on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Not a lot of people watch China Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday in the mornings. Like that's just the reality. It's the middle of the work week for people in the US. In the morning during the work time, like people just don't watch China. So like there's less overall viewership of Korea and China. And then I think like Schizophrenic pointed out in chat just now, there was even less diversity in the drafts. So it was like the meta wasn't as interesting. It definitely wasn't a Western meta. It was a straight up Eastern meta. The viewership wasn't as high as the Western Clash was, just given the time zone, given how many people actually follow the tournaments, etc. And you know, you can only make up for that so much. You had all of the normal Western casters there to cast the games, but like, what do you do, right? Like, if the game itself, those games themselves didn't lend themselves to a casual viewer as much as we would have seen out of the Western Clash. Because the storylines are harder to follow. Nobody, like, if you go out and you threw a rock, everybody knows who Fnatic and Dignitas is. Nobody knows who SPT is. Nobody knows who CE is. Nobody knows who the One is. Nobody knows who Blossom is. They know KSV Black, Ballistics, and Tempest. They know those 3 teams.
I'm going to go aside now and throw a rock and see how many people know about Fnatic and Dignitas. I guarantee my 7-year-old neighbor has no clue.
Probably not. But like, if you talk to esports people, they know Fnatic, they know Dig, like, those are big names. They don't know the smaller Chinese teams. They don't know that the Taiwanese team was named Loli Miao. They got in, and that was the team that got to go. So it was 3 teams from China, a Taiwanese team, and then the Korean teams. The teams that had name recognition were the top 3 from Korea.
Yep.
It's just the reality.
In sports, it's a very emotional viewing experience. You need to have those storylines. You need to be personally attached or somehow emotionally attached to the players to get that out of it. Like, same with professional, like, physical sports too, right? Like hockey, basketball, whatever. Like, you follow the players, you know all the players, you know their personalities. Same thing with NA, right? Like, or EU, you know all those players.
Right.
Whereas you don't know necessarily as many as Koreans.
Blizzard tried to fix that with the Oracle episodes, and it just wasn't enough. Because watching a 5-minute episode between sets is not going to make me care about that team. So they needed to start it like months ago, and they didn't. And here we are. Well,
especially if, like, you know, being an English-speaking audience, if they're not speaking English, it's hard to get invested. Like, you have the translator sometimes, but you just don't get the same effective personality as someone who's a translator.
A translator translating someone from Korea or China is not the same as Breeze screaming about how they won, or, you know, like that's, it's just, they're 2 very different experiences.
It's like subtitling,
right?
Okay, next on the list, Phase 2 expectations. So LiQuiud, because I don't know nearly as much about HGC as you do, not only am I going to throw the ball to you first, I'm also going to ask you a question. One thing I like to know is, what are the roster change rules going into Phase 2? Do we have the opportunity to have any sort of roster apocalypse coming up?
So technically, we're not in Phase 2. We're in Part 2. And I meant to say that, but I'm sorry about that. But Part 2. So this is still Phase 1, Part 2, that's about to stop. Or about to start. Wow. So week 6 is considered just Part 2 of Phase 1. There are not supposed to be roster changes. However, Erho was naughty and was suspended for the rest of the season, all of 2018. And so Simplicity released him. They will be playing with a sub this weekend, and they have like 2 weeks to figure out who they're going to fill that spot with. So they won't even be able to make it to the midpoint of the, like, between Phase 1 and Phase 2 to swap them. They have to have somebody on the roster for the last 4 weeks of the phase.
Okay, so they're trying to, like, somehow subvert the rules to get around.
No, he was suspended, so Blizzard's making an exception that they can put somebody on the roster because he was suspended for the rest of the year by Blizzard.
Okay, well, I guess that is fair then.
Yeah.
So what do you expect out of Phase 2 then? Is it going to be more of the same, at least from NA and EU?
I think we'll see a lot of similarities. I think Fnatic was poised to do well at the Clash, but then Quack got sick, and so hopefully they can turn their luck around in Part 2. I think we'll continue to see the rise of Heroes Hearth. I think we'll continue to see the fall of Simplicity, Arrow's news notwithstanding. But whoever they get to sign could help fix the issues with Simplicity. I still don't think so, but we'll see how that goes. I hate Simplicity. We'll leave that alone. And I think we'll continue to see LFM do well, and hopefully we'll see LFM and Leftovers take a full set again off of teams in LFM's case.
So who do you think is going to be sliding into the Crucible range for let's stick to EU and NA, I guess.
All right, so NA is going to be, and I'm sorry, Jay Street, but this is just the way it is. NA is probably going to be LFM and No Tomorrow. And EU should be Leftovers. And man, my heart wants to say Method, but the reality is that's not right. I think it's Diamond Skin, if I remember correctly. Hold on, I just want to make sure I'm thinking about this correctly. Yes, Leftovers and Diamond Skin.
And do you think those teams are in threat of losing their positions to Open Division teams? How's Open Division looking this year?
EU Open Division looks strong enough that one or both teams could get knocked out. NA Open Division super strong. I don't know that they'll be able to. It'll be tough. It'll be interesting. It'll be worth watching. That's how I would answer that.
And do you think this is going to be the last year that we have Crucibles too? That's the other question. That's a big topic. You think we're going to keep having relegation after this year?
Yes. Oh, yeah. Yeah. That won't go away. I think Blizzard's really happy with the success of Open Division. I think there are a lot more satisfied people with Open Division this year as well. So, yeah, I don't see that going away at all.
Is there any way you could have Open Division and not have relegation and still have a successful and healthy Open Division? Like, I mean, it could almost be like, okay, just looking at franchise model, let's say like hockey, because that's what I know. You've got the NHL and you got the AHL. It's a feeder like league for the NHL, right? If you do well in the AHL, that's where, you know, teams might sign you, might bring you up, and that's where you can shine, right? So you have like that kind of farm system. That's what I'd imagine Open Division could become if you got rid of relegation. It's where people are there to like audition for the bigs, if you want to call it that. Is that something that we could see? Because I mean, there's a lot of pros to getting rid of relegation, I think.
No, I don't. No. You have to have relegation. Well, it's not so much that you have to have relegation. You have to have promotion. In order to have promotion, you have to have relegation, right? It's like the other side of the same coin. You have to have both sides for it to work. So in order for Open Division to be successful, you have to continue to have that promotion system to bring you, because it's not a farm team. Right? The idea is not to farm new players. The idea is to bring new blood, new teams into the league. So you have to have the ability to promote. And we see that even in HGC and ANZ. They're much smaller. They're only going to send one team to take on LATAM, and then the winner of that will go to Mid-Season Brawl and BlizzCon. But if you look at that, even HGC ANZ is running their Premier League and their Open Division, and they're doing promotion relegation. So I don't think that's going to go away, ever.
Well, we ran out of time because I feel like I could still debate this point, but we'll continue on.
Debate topic.
I guess so. We haven't done debate in a while. It wouldn't be a bad one.
We have not. I will take that one. Promotion relegation, I am for, and we can have that debate anytime, dude.
And I'll bring in Trent Murray as my sub to argue against you on that one.
Hold on now.
Because I know he's very against relegation. Okay, before we get too down that barrel, let's talk about in development, because there was a little bit of in development news released. We're getting some new mounts. Obviously, Phoenix is coming, so we've got Phoenix and the new Phoenix skins that go along with that. But the new mounts that we've got is Zergling mount, which should make Mystic happy, Cyber Ram, and Celestial Ursa. So it's a big celestial bear, Ursa like Ursa Minor, the constellation. And Carbot portraits and sprays have also come in as well, which is pretty cool. By the way, the Celestial Ursa is the reward for making a money purchase in the shop. So Mystic, you gotta be excited about the Zergling mount, if nothing else.
I was actually really surprised that they put the Zergling mount in, but I mean, I guess if you think about it, it's not that much of a surprise. But yeah, I saw it and I was like, man, that Zergling mount looks so cool, and I'm gonna get it.
Gonna craft it on day one.
Whoa! Mystic never says that. Oh my god!
He's gotta have shards though, right?
I got the shards.
You got them saved up.
They're all sitting there in my vault, just ready to be spent.
Well, like we know that you're gonna get Celestial Ursa on day one, even if you don't want him, because he comes with a real money purchase, and I'm assuming you're probably gonna be buying something on day one.
I mean, all I have to do is buy more gems, and that's easy. And then I'll probably buy the other stuff. So yeah, I mean, I'm definitely going to buy stuff for sure, absolutely. Because you know it's me. It's kind of what I do.
I was a little disappointed that the in development video didn't show any new like StarCraft themed skins as well. I was kind of hoping for a skin drop when I was looking through there. And I had to like sift through to see if there was anything there. But I mean, the only real StarCraft thing other than the mount, the Zergling mount, was Fenix himself. I know Blizzard said they're going to spread things out a little bit, so they want, you know, hero releases to stand apart from these things. So maybe we're going to be getting a skin drop in a few weeks between hero releases. I guess that's kind of what we might be thinking. At least that's what I'm thinking. You guys think that's what we'll be seeing? Maybe something else?
It's hard to tell.
It's always hard to tell.
They with this new updated, this is how we're releasing stuff. It's like even harder to tell when we'll see certain things.
Yeah, they've definitely been shaking up their schedule a bit. I'm so used to having that like rhythmical release of heroes. Now that's been totally thrown out the window. It's a little bit harder to predict when we're going to get new content. But still, hoping for some new skins to drop soon. I'm hoping it's just going to be hero skin kind of going forward. I'd like to see new skins in the game. Those are always making it fun for me, at least.
Right, yeah.
Right. Oh, I forgot about talk about the Carbot stuff, too. We can give a little extra time.
I mean, that's what I want. Like, I'm looking forward to the Carbot stuff more than anything.
Yeah, and really cool that apparently Blizzard reached out to Carbot too, and they collaborated with him. Obviously, they didn't just like take his stuff, but he did a bunch of sprays and a bunch of portraits too. And I think those are gonna be really popular as well because Carbot already is really popular.
I don't know how I'm gonna buy them, but I'm going to buy all of them. I'm still not sure how.
I'm sure you'll find a way.
I'm gonna, you know what I'm gonna have to do is like buy tons of boxes to shard them.
From what I remember too, I think they're all like fairly low shard value, so they shouldn't be, you know, out of the realm of obtainable. There's a lot of them though. I think they got one for every hero, so you know it's probably like, I assume they do have one for every hero. 70 some odd portraits they've got. So cool.
But I don't need all of them, so it should be okay.
You can skip out on the Chromie one, eh?
Yeah.
Okay. Next topic, and this one we're doing double
Phoenix.
time for, is Fenix, because Fenix is now in the Nexus, or in the PTR at least. So just quickly going over his kit before we get into the discussion about him. Well, actually, Mystic, do you want to tell us who Fenix is from a lore perspective quickly?
Sure. So Phoenix, way back when, all the way back in StarCraft 1, Phoenix was he was kind of like a hero where he was really good on the battlefield and he was a zealot, kind of like Artanis, right? And so, unfortunately for him, he was going through like the fighting all the Zerg and whatnot, and he got sent to this this like fortress that he was supposed to defend. However, it got overrun and he got killed in combat by all the Zerg, or so they thought. And then so the Protoss, they went over there and they looked around. They're like, oh, here's his body. He's like barely alive. So we're going to put him in this Dragoon, which a Dragoon was kind of like a life support system where it kept the person in it alive. And they could also fight on the battlefield using the Dragoon as kind of like a vehicle.
Cool. And that's the mode that we've got him in too. We've got him in vehicle Dragoon form. So just going over his kit here, his trait is called Shield Capacitor. Phoenix has a permanent 800 shield, which regenerates after not taking damage for 5 seconds, which is pretty cool, awesome for sustainability. Q is Plasma Cutter. This is a 12-second cooldown. He creates a laser beam that travels in a circle around Phoenix twice. You can actually decide on the distance, the radius of the circle, when you cast it, dealing small damage and slowing enemies for 25% for 4 seconds. You can also fire auto attacks off while the circle is going too. So his W is actually lets him switch between auto attack modes, repeater cannon and phase bomb. So phase bomb gives him a 1.5 range increase on his auto attack and 25% more damage, and gives him a splash damage too. So really great for wave clear. Whereas repeater cannon is his other auto attack mode. His attack speed is increased by 150%, so it's a lot more like a little turret that fires off as opposed to a big bomb that gets shot off. His E is called Warp. It's on an 18-second cooldown. You warp to a target location after 0.5-second channel, and it takes 0.75 seconds to actually perform the warp. He's got his 2 ultimates. Purification Salvo. I think these all these ultimates, they really hit on the nail on the head here. These are really fun. 75-second cooldown on Purification Salvo. He channels a sweep for 1.5 seconds. You can move while it's channeling too. and any heroes that it scans in the sweep will be hit by 5 missiles, dealing 86 damage each, and 50% more damage to slowed targets. So if you slow them first with your Q, and then you get this off, you get extra damage, or if you just have native slows from other heroes as well. Then his other one, too, is called Planet Cracker, and this is one I really want to give a whirl with. 100-second cooldown, and there's a 0.5-second channel time, but after he does channel for half a second, you get this ridiculous 4-second beam that with unlimited range. It travels across the whole battlefield, dealing 105 damage every quarter of a second to non-structured enemies, which is a huge amount of damage.
Yeah.
Okay, so Mystic, let's throw the ball to you since this is your StarCraft hero that you've been waiting for. What do you think of Fenix?
I think he is very strong. I tried him out on the PTR, and I was thinking to myself, wow, this guy does a lot of damage, especially close up, and he's really, really tanky too. So unless you have like some sort of shield breaker talent like Kel'Thuzad, even Kel'Thuzad's actually isn't enough. If you have Varian shield breaking or shield shattering throw.
Yep, shattering throw. Yes.
Yeah, shattering throw. That's the one. Yeah, I believe that works on Fenix. But unless you have that, he's actually really, really tanky for an assassin. If you add up his like 800 shield and his like 1250 or so health, that's like 2050 HP, and that's like Maev tier health, and she's melee in this guy's range. So he doesn't even have to be that close either, because his auto attack range is okay while in repeater cannon mode, and then in his phase bomb mode it's actually quite long. So he is a lot tankier than I thought he would be. He basically has second wind, like Murden kind of second wind thing, where that's his shield, right? He doesn't actually need the it just recharges on its own. He doesn't need a healer to recharge that. He doesn't need a healer to like recharge his health, sure, but his shield, I think that's really, really strong there, especially.
Well, let's talk about that for a second, because like healer, the fact that he's not a burden on the healer here, because the first 50% or so of the damage he takes doesn't need to be healed. It can't be healed, right? So that's resources that your healer can divert to someone else. This is
There's
like,
no way this makes it live. There's no way.
Yeah.
There's no way.
It is pretty crazy, and the fact that he has a lot of damage, and he's got that slow on his kit too, plus his movement. This has got the makings of an OP hero for sure. Look what
This is the most OP hero ever freaking released. Ever.
So I did the calculations for his level 1 talent, and so one of his level 1 talents is for every like swing that you hit with his circular or his plasma cutter, you get 1 auto attack damage, right? Now you may not think that's very much, and the other one, like mobile offense, is like 30% extra damage whenever you stutter step, which is actually really good. I thought that would be like the go-to, because it's just 30% extra damage. But what I calculated was that if you just get like a few stacks of your Q spin per level, then it actually outscales your or that one at almost every single level, as long as you get like 3 or 4. So I thought that was kind of crazy, actually.
Really? I dismissed that Q talent. Now, I got to trust your number crunching here, because you used to be an accounting major. So I feel like you've got this sorted out, but 30%, it can outscale 30% auto attack on stutter step, which I'm assuming you're stutter stepping hopefully throughout each auto attack. That's a big amount of scaling they got to get on a Q, which is a very like slow ability with a very long cooldown. I was going to say part of my analysis here was ignore the Q talents that increase damage, because they just weren't worth it.
Yeah, it's actually, see, that's what I was thinking too. I was like, man, that's why would I take that talent when I could just have 30% extra damage? And then I looked at it, I was like, wait, it's actually like 80 auto attack damage at maximum rank. And it's like, if you get it anywhere before 20 or something, it's quite insane.
When I was playing with him on the PTR, I liked his kind of like auto attacky build, like taking that mobile offense level 1, getting that extra 30% bonus damage, being able to like take your shields off of yourself to get a bonus attack damage based on the amount of shields that you deplete, getting like extra bonus damage on slowed heroes. Like I just felt like it was just so powerful. I could 1v1 almost any hero pretty easily, and you have a huge amount of burst. Not to mention you have a lot of mobility with your E. There are a lot of E-type talents you can take too, which I thought was better to stray away from because it's such a long cooldown. Like you're talking 18 seconds for a warp cooldown. You don't necessarily want to use it offensively unless you know you can secure a kill. And I mean, there's some talents that help you out if you do secure a kill, you get like a bonus charge of it. But that just seems like a very risky play style to me.
Well, that's the thing about this hero. Like, he's so tanky, you can do that. It's like if Avala, right, or Hanzo uses their movement ability to go in, it's like they're pretty much dead if they get caught by anything. However, Phoenix is like he can warp in, like maybe not into the middle of a fight, but to maybe a little bit to the right or a little bit to the left. And even when if he gets caught out, he still has like all that health, all that shield for them to blow through. And even if they just blow through his shield, then it just comes all the way back up as soon as he exits combat. So he's
OP.
And the other thing too is he can solo lane pretty effectively. He's got good wave clear. He's got
no mana,
good self sustain, no mana. I'm wondering, is this the new top level solo laner? Because he's also got the ranged attack too, which is great if you're soloing against like a Dahaka or a Sonya. You can just sit there and blast them down all day outside of their range, right? Is there anyone who might be able to match Phoenix in the solo lane?
Sonya.
A lot of blank looks.
Maybe Sonya.
Well, I feel like anyone can just do the whole like stand back and at least soak your wave and clear the waves. But in terms of like being able to bully someone out of the lane and like just win decisively, I feel like Phoenix has everything he needs for that to happen.
Phoenix has like one of the biggest advantages is range. He's not melee, which means he can just bully Sonya. Like as long as she's in the wave, he can bully her. Yeah. And not only to that fact, but like if she tries to trade any damage, as long as Phoenix gets away before his shields are depleted, it's just going to come all the way back up. It's very similar to Sonya healing off the wave, except Phoenix doesn't have to do anything for it.
Well, and if Phoenix can outdamage Sonya's healing while spinning in the wave too, that almost like right there just says that, he does have the potential to bully Sonya out of the solo lane.
Which is kind of crazy if you think
Job's
about
done.
It.
Okay, Varian shit show. Next up, this is
such a disaster.
Well, this I'm going to pass the mic over to you to start this, LiQuiuD, but I'm going to give it a little bit of an overview just to tell everyone what changed here first. So Varian was reworked on the PTR. Most notable changes is he lost 20% of his health and regen. That sounds like a big nerf to me, but a lot of things changed here. He got a small increase to health scaling, 3 to 4%. Doesn't quite get his health up there late game even to where it was before. He lost 19% of his attack damage. It also scales a little bit higher, 4% as opposed to 3.5. He lost 11% on his trait damage, which is compounded because his auto attacks are down too. The parry cooldown time is increased from 8 to 10 seconds. Like, we're looking at this, holy crap, this looks like a nerf so far, but he did get some other buffs to compensate here. He gets a small heal on his Q now. It's actually a decent size if you catch a lot of heroes in it, because you get a bonus healing off heroes with your Q. This is where it really gets interesting, though. His ultimates are now at level 4. So he gets Taunt at level 4. He gets Blades of Fury, Colossus Smash level 4. Granted, Colossus Smash...
No, Twin Blades. Twin Blades are Colossus Smash.
Colossus Smash gives you less, armor at level 4 as well than it used to. But still, that's pretty crazy. It's his ultimates. Then Shield Wall and Warbringer, the previous level 4 talents, have been moved over to level 10, so you don't get that Protect as early as you used to. It's just the block. Shield Wall will also lose Parry's second charge now, but it does reduce the cooldown of Parry by 5 seconds to compensate for that. LiQuiuD, go.
Shit show.
Why is it a shit show? I played on the PT.
Okay, so like 1 through 4, he's weak. He's really weak until he gets his ultimate at 4. Then he's really strong for a while because you have an ultimate and no one else has an ultimate, and you can do stuff with that. Whether it's Taunt or Twin Blades, but Twin Blades really only comes into its own after 7. Taunt is strong right at 4. You can set up some kills and like really mess with people. Even Colossus Smash works pretty good at 4. At 10 though, when everybody else gets their ultimate, now all of a sudden he's kind of back to mediocre. And I say he's back to mediocre because really he got nerfed kind of to hell. and they're like, oh, no, we gave him a couple of small buffs, like the heal on his Q, but really he was nerfed. Oh, like he was nerfed. He was big time nerfed. Yeah. I don't know.
Little
It's
PSA
so bad.
too, because the one game I played him, I was like, I gotta take Twin Blades just for the fun of it. Between level 4 and 7, you don't actually have any heal on your Twin Blades, like, and that's just something that you're just so used to having. As soon as you take Twin Blades, you're like, nice. Now I can just like auto attack.
Solo camps.
Yeah, solo camps. So like anybody, you can go in and have the deceptive healing coming back, but you don't have that until level 7. So you gotta be careful because Twin Blades between 4 and 7 isn't nearly as impactful as it was until you get to level 7. So you get that extra like, 4 to 7 buffer of having a weaker variant if you go the Twin Blades route. What do you think, Mystic? Because I don't notice in the notes you say he even is out after 10, not as much of a struggle as LiQuiuD says in his little notes here.
I mean, overall, it is a nerf, but like, so he's really weak, like everybody says, 1 through 4, and then at 4 he gets his ultimate, so that he gets that power spike, and I think he's a lot stronger right there. But then once he gets to 10, he does either get the shield wall or the Warbringer. Now, let's look at those for a second. So shield wall, it originally, right, it kept the charges, but it just made you protected, right? So now you lose a charge, but it's now on a 5-second cooldown instead of 10. So now it means that you can parry every 5 seconds. However, the strongest part of like great Varian players was when they needed to time, when they could time their protect, and like you could use it twice in succession, which means like, okay, if I need a really big window here to protect myself from like all this incoming damage, I can do that.
Right.
But now it's like, okay, I only have this small window. Not only that, but I don't have a second charge, which means that there's a 5-second window where I could just get blown up, and they just reduce its health.
I feel like had they not made that change, this wouldn't be quite the same shit show that it is now. Honestly, if you left shield wall alone, and just swapped it 4 for 10, it would not have been nearly as bad.
Now, the reason I say it kind of evens out after 10 is because, like, after 10, that's when, Varian originally was, like, supposed to be really strong, right? And, like, if we look back, what actually made Varian strong? The combination of protected and his ultimate. So after 10, he does get both of those pieces, although, one of them, the shield wall, is kind of nerfed. But he still gets that strength and is still a really big power spike. He's just like, so he's still good after that point. He's just not as good. Like,
well, if you look
they just reeled him back.
If you look at level 10 Varian on PTR versus live, he's got, the scaling changes a little bit, but 20% less health to start off with. You gotta assume it's probably 15% less still around like level 10. That's a pretty sizable nerf to health. And his auto attacks don't hit nearly as hard as well.
So his HP is only the same once you hit level 20, right? So like every level it gets closer and closer and closer until you hit level 20.
I don't think it does match. It's 20.
No, it's not 20. It was 22, I think.
Okay,
I remember
surprised. That's a very significant.
There is a place, and maybe it was. It had to be one of the numbers where he matched was 22, and the other number where he matched was level like 36. So I don't remember which was which. Whether it was attack damage I think attack damage was level 36 to hit parity, and health was level 22 to hit parity.
Good thing the game's capped at level 30.
Right. Well, no, and that's just mathematically. This is where right. So I don't know. It's such a huge nerf to someone who I question whether they really needed the nerf. I like some of the times I look at this and I'm like, okay, I see why Blizzard did this. I don't understand this change. Like, why?
Tarantula's got a good point in chat too. Might be more interesting if they just got his ultimate level 1 instead of level 4, just to give him like that early game. Like, you gotta win the early game to win with Varian would be kind of your plan, right? And like I could see that being a viable change to how he goes, because if you can win it fast, you win it with Varian, you're doing good.
But why make the changes? That's what I still don't understand. That like there was no.
They like to put everything into a big pot and shake it up every once in a while. It keeps the game fresh.
Maybe if you think about it this way, okay? So what other hero like is kind of similar to that aspect? is Karazim, right? Where he's kind of multi-class, right? Except he
Yeah.
gets his at 1, and they made it so Varian gets his at 4. But Karazim also has kind of like a different thing that he gets at 4 as well, where he can choose between 3 different like clone things, and that's unique to him.
Right.
So
Well, and that
maybe
Go
I
ahead,
was
go
gonna
ahead.
say maybe they're just experimenting and saying like, okay, so if we're doing this, we might not get rid of multi-class like as a general thing, but put more heroes in multi-class. Like maybe that hero that they're announcing soon.
Oh, okay. All right. I mean, yes, that makes sense. If they're making this change in preparation for a future hero announcement, then it makes sense. Otherwise, I see no reason for them to have made this change.
Well, we'll find out in the coming weeks. Next topic. Tracer, still annoying. Tracer's also been reworked in the PTR. Health and regen's been increased by 12%. Basic attack damage also increased by 7%. The blink cooldown, however, has been increased from 6 to 8 seconds. Melee damage, that's her one ability, has been reduced by 14%. Recall cooldown increased from 26 to 30 seconds. Pulse bomb damage reduced by 14%, but now it scales to 6% instead of 5%. And I heard, I was watching some master level Tracer players, it's pretty high post on Reddit right now, saying that never actually catches up, even late game. Anyways, the too long don't read of all this is that the AA damage is up, and she's tankier, but the spell damage has been reduced. So
Everything's wrong.
So
Sorry.
what they're trying to do here, and analysis has already come out and said, okay, this is what we look like. It looks like it's going to happen. Is they're reducing the place. They're trying to nerf the play style where you can just build up a pulse bomb in the back, and then you run up melee pulse bomb, blow up a guy, and then blink out. Right? They're nerfing all that spell damage, and they're making it so you're more of like a sustained damage hero. So you just kind of like constantly auto attacking instead of. And you can still go in for the kill, obviously, but you're less mobile and you can't burst people down as heavily as you used to be able to. LiQuiuD, tell me
That health change. The health. She's like one of the tankier assassins now. Like, really? That's what we're doing to Tracer?
She went from like you could blow her off in a stiff breeze to like it needs a little bit slightly more stiff breeze.
No.
I feel like it's not that much of a difference. Maybe like
it's.
I mean, there can be the difference between life and death. Like 12% is nothing to scoff at, but still,
It's a lot. Tanky. It's a lot. I think Dunk said earlier today that she has as much health as Raynor does now.
She has more health than Raynor.
There you go.
She has
something's wrong there, man.
She has about as much health as Hanzo.
Something's wrong there.
But she does have less mobility too, right? And that's what everyone's been screaming about all.
No, she doesn't.
Reviews.
She has more mobility than him. She has more mobility than Hanzo.
More mobility. Okay, I said less mobility than before compared to like Tracer now as opposed to Tracer and PTR is what I'm talking about.
But how does she have more health than Raynor? That's not right. That's not right.
Raynor does have a self heal too, so he's deceptively more tanky than that. Which is sizable. It's like, 30, 40%, whatever it is that he gets back every time you proc him below that health threshold. But anyways, Mystic, what do you think of Tracer?
I mean, I feel like I don't know. Like I feel like she was in a good spot, even though like she was very strong in what spot she was in, which was go in, like blow someone up, and get back out. And I don't know, like. Doing all these changes, like sure they make her tankier and they made her like do more auto attack damage, but it's like now she's just in a little bit of a different place. I guess it's like if you don't want a assassin that's more auto attacky but has some burst, then Tracer's like your go-to, and now that she has a little bit of health, she can do that. It's just kind of weird. It's more of just like power shifts, and it's like. Where would I pick Tracer here? It's like in competitive or something, it'd just be like I pick Tracer in the exact same point that I'd normally pick Tracer. It's just that she does less now.
You know what it is they got sick of seeing hyper carries with Tracer. That's what 2 tank, 2 healer Tracer is a combo that Blizzard did not want to see, and this is their attempt to fix that.
Yeah, and she was just so good at getting to the backline quick, finishing off that hero, and then blinking out. Maybe now Phoenix is going to be that backline destroyer with his Planet Cracker or whatever. You could just destroy anybody, even if they're like 3 screens away. But they did also do some changes to her level 7 talents too that I didn't mention off the top. Again, kind of gimping her mobility a bit. Jumper, where you get an additional blink charge. They actually increased the cooldown by 2 seconds to blink if you take that talent now. Bullet time, the other one there, they're trying to switch people over, I guess, to push them towards bullet time. This will actually reduce the cooldown of blink by 0.15 seconds per basic attack, up from 0.1. But still, I mean, that nerf to jumper too is actually another significant one, because she does get the extra charge, which gives her longer range mobility, but you gotta wait, extra time, like 2, 4, 6 seconds to get all 3 charges back now. Okay, well, I guess we can just move on to the next one, since you guys are being silent about that comment. So we'll move on to LiLi's Little Adventure. So LiLi also got a couple changes. Nothing too huge. We're only going to do half time on this one, I think, just because of just the breadth of her changes aren't nearly as significant as Varian or Tracer here. So LiLi has some changes on the PTR. Balancing underpicked Wind Serpent at level 1 and overpicked Hindering Winds at level 4. Wind Serpent level 1, instead of reducing the Serpent cooldown by enemies hit by Blinding Wind, it will now reduce the cooldown passively for 2 seconds and cast a free Blinding Wind near the enemy target. Kind of cool. Level 4, slow from Hindering Winds was reduced from 30 to 25%. So I was playing in a Cho'Gall game yesterday, 2 days ago, and Schizo, who is in chat right now, picked LiLi because he said, you know what, that's a pocket strat. I don't know which esports team it was that picked the LiLi Cho'Gall. Didn't work out the greatest for us, but LiLi, does she have a place outside of being that kind of starter up healer in esports or Hero League or wherever?
I mean, she's very strong in blinds and whatnot, and I think like having the Cloud Serpent launch a Blinding Wind is kind of weird, but it's also kind of insane, because if you think about it, it's like Blinding Wind has around like this sort of range around LiLi, right? But if you add that with a Serpent, so if you throw a Serpent at max range, the range of that Blinding Wind has suddenly increased. So it's like you could get hit by like a really long range Blinding Wind. You're like, where did that come from? Oh, it's from like the Serpent that this hero is carrying. You're just like, whoa, that came out of nowhere.
Do you think this talent is viable then at level 1?
I think it is certainly an interesting talent and can go very different directions. Like if you really need the blinds, or if you want to blind someone really far in the back, then there are ways to do that now. So
yeah,
without getting too close.
Go ahead, LiQuid.
I was just, she's still good. It's not like nothing here is gonna really. It's like it's moderate changes, not a big nerf, not a big buff. She'll still probably be my go-to healer in Hero League as long as it works with the rest of the team comp and who we're playing.
Yeah, I never took to LiLi. Just the untargeted I mean, I guess you can kind of target with your positioning, but just the untargetable nature of her heals have always driven me crazy. Not being able to be like, I want to heal that guy now. Like, no, in order to do that, you got to move in a certain spot to make sure you're closest to him or he's lowest
Job's
target
done.
in order for that to happen. That's just never really gelled with the way that I like to play. But, LiLi's not everyone's cup of tea. Or jug of tea, I guess, for her. You get that reference?
Jug of 1,000 cups, baby.
Yeah, jug of cups. I don't know. I don't even know. I don't know where I'm going with that one. Let's just move on to the next one. Fixing the Chair League. So Chair League had a lot of hype coming into this next season. I saw a cool promo video that Super Jugger put together.
Did it though? But okay, go ahead.
Well, okay, I messed up the timer there, so let's fix that. But they did do like a cool promo video.
Yes,
which
he had a hype video.
Yeah, which was cool. It was like making fun of himself a little bit, and like just the confusion of Chair League in the past, and like just getting the season together and organized. And I was like, oh cool, like I guess they're like making a big push this year. They're really like committing to the cause. They got this cool promo video and everything. And then the day or two maybe before it was about to start, we'll see a little add everyone on the Discord server.
The night before
on Discord.
The night before.
A little announcement comes out saying we're issuing refunds, canceling the season. We don't really think we're at where we need to be. We want to rethink our process here and re-envision what they want to do with the league to get the fun back that they had in seasons 1 and seasons 2. Now, LiQuiuD, I'm not sure much you can say about this topic because you've been on the
I'm like way out of the loop now.
Okay.
So what I said last night, I'll tell you what I said last night. I said, look, season 3, I was on the rules committee. I'm still a moderator in their Discord, but I'm out of the loop as to what he's trying to do. All I can say is it looks like a disaster, and I hope he can figure something out.
Yeah, and we've had Super Jova on the show a couple times. He's very knowledgeable, and he's a very smart individual, and I think he generally has pretty good plans set into place. And doing something like this, like pulling the plug on a season, I'm sure it wasn't a decision just made on a whim. I'm sure it's something that was a pretty calculated decision, even though it came like, you know, pretty much at like ground zero, like in terms of timing before the season started. He identified, okay, like we have to just take a step back here for whatever reason it ended up having to be and rethink our vision.
So I want to share a little story with you.
Ooh, story time.
And you kind of helped prompt me to realize this. But like 4 months ago, I was like really stressed about all the stuff we were trying to do. And you were like, dude, just find people, like we can get people to help. You don't have to do it all yourself, blah, 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 blah. And I realized at the time, and I didn't tell you this at the time, but I realized that I was doing things like Super Jova does Chair League. And I was trying to do everything myself and not share responsibility with other people. And so we got a bunch of people to help and do different things and take over different responsibilities, and it has helped tremendously. I don't know that he's there yet.
Just talking on that a little bit. Like you run Trolls GG, this fantastic network that we find ourselves on, Troll and HGC, entry-level esports, creators of the storm, like all this stuff. We got a whole bunch of writers and everything involved too. Like it's not easy to coordinate all this stuff. You got a lot of volunteers, you know, spending their time here. No one's on a payroll. Like so you're their boss, but you're not though, because you can't force them to do stuff because you're not paying them anything. They can say, screw this, I'm out of here. It's difficult to find volunteers to help out. It's a lot of time for a lot of these things. I know Super Joe has put in a ton of hours developing and everything too. And it's difficult to find that help. And just not just for Super Joe, but just for anyone trying to create like these you know community-based things. I'm sure it was the same for you know all sorts of different websites that don't turn a profit. Say like like they're in Heroes of the Storm community or whatever. But I mean, it's not easy finding new people. I mean, if you want to write for trolls.gg, just you know send a tweet to @LiQuiuDGG. It's LiQiuDGG. But still, it's difficult to coordinate that ship. And I guess what you're saying is that's probably what's. I mean, I don't want to put too many words in Super Jova's mouth here, but that looks like you think that's what's going on.
It's hard to tell because it's not like he's really out there with all the stuff that he's doing on. And I'm going to plug us real quick, trolls.gg/join. We are still looking for a number of people to help us out with stuff. But no, it's definitely like it's a challenge. It's just Creators of the Storm, man. That was probably the most stressful like 18 hours I've ever had, ever. And I've done a lot of weird stuff, and that was stressful. So I can't imagine like running a whole league over the course of a season. Like that's got to be way worse than what we did that weekend.
I really want to clip the I've done a lot of weird stuff you just said there.
I'm just like, yeah, so I get it and I feel for him, and I hope he can right the ship and figure out what he wants to do and bring Chair League back to where it is. But the question that I constantly come back to, and I blame Dorsch for this, but the more I think about it, the more I realize he was probably right. Like way back when he's like, no, NGS is going to be where it's at. Like, is there even room for Chair League at a certain point with how smooth and how popular NGS is becoming? That's a question that is going to have to be asked. And that's the challenge for Super Jova. Like, does it make sense to come back? If it's going to take me 6 months to come up with the product that I think is going to work for Heroes, does it make sense to have to try and compete with NGS when they're like 2 more seasons in? It would be like, and I'm not trying to say that the market is this crowded, but would you launch a World of Warcraft podcast at this point? Probably not. You know, like it's just, there's a bunch out there already, and you would be coming into it what, like 16 years late? Like, would you do that? You could, and maybe you could find your niche, but you know, it's similar to that. If there's already a really solid NA amateur thing that is NGS, does it make sense for him to just say, you know what, we had a great run and maybe I'm going to end it here?
If anyone can do it, though, I've got faith in Super Jova. I think he's can be a very committed individual and a very smart one as well. So it'll be interesting to see. Maybe we'll have to have him back on the show and we can actually talk about this in a little bit more detail. Maybe when he's got some more news to announce about, hopefully, the next season of Chair League, because we've all taken part in Chair League in multiple seasons and had a good time with it as well.
Yeah, I would agree. I agree with all that. I wish him the best.
Yep. So that rounds up our Troll in the Nexus segment. Mystic, I think we might be cutting Mystic's Shakedown because we've done a lot of stuff here. We're kind of running a little over on time.
We've done a lot of stuff.
Yeah. Sorry. We had Matt Damon too. We had to cut him out of the show. Sorry, guys. We'll have him back next week as well. So we'll just end off the show here. Thanks to our chieftain, Super Dave, for pledging his support to the Trolls. If you want to become a chieftain, you can head over to trolls.gg/Patreon and support the show there. There's a tier that you can donate above to become a chieftain, where you'll get a shout out after every show.
I think you mean patreon.com/trollsgg, right?
What did I say? Trolls.gg/Patreon?
Trollsgg/Patreon.
Yeah, obviously. Patreon.com/trollsgg. I was just testing everybody. We all know Patreon's site, right? Anyways, thanks everyone for listening to Nexus Trolls. Here's the Storm podcast, which can be streamed live on this Twitch channel, twitch.tv/trollsgg every week. That's not trolls.gg/twitch.tv, because that would be awfully confusing too. Wednesdays at 7:30 p.m. Eastern, 4:30 p.m. Pacific. LiQuid, can you hold it together for a minute? Tell people where they can find you on the internet.
I can. Your best place to find me is Twitter at LiQuiudGG. That's LiQiuDGG. I tweet whenever I'm coming on one of the two shows, which has not been as frequently as I want lately. I take DMs for jobs, esports positions for teams. There are a number of teams I know right now looking for analysts and some even looking for coaches. If you want to hit me up, I can pass you along to them. I can also tell you that trolls.gg/join. We are looking for a number of people to help round out some of our volunteer positions if you're interested. It's really low stress. Like, I'm not looking to work you into the ground. We want some help to make things better for all of our listeners, viewers, and readers.
Yeah, he doesn't pay us enough to work us into the ground, guys. Mystic, where can folks find you?
You can find me at Mystic Shroud on Twitter.
And you can find me at DazHots. I've already thanked our Patreon supporters. Let's move along to subscribe to our show on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, wherever you happen to find our shows online. You can pretty much find them anywhere. Visit our website at trolls.gg/TheNexusTrolls to watch this and past shows, along with past video streams, which also can be found on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/TrollsGG. For announcements about the show and general Heroes of the Storm news, you can follow us on Twitter at TheNexusTrolls or our network at TrollsGG. And if you want to hang out with us and the Trolls community in game, you can /join TrollsGG in game, or you can join our Discord channel, which has got a lot of chatter, a lot of great conversations happening there. I definitely encourage you, if you listen to the show or watch the show, join our Discord channel. Head over to trolls.gg/Discord to find out more information about how you can join the Discord server. And finally, if you want to get in touch with us, the best way is by email at TheNexusTrolls@trollsgg. Mystic, LiQuiud, thanks again for hosting, as per usual. Everyone, thanks for watching. Have a great week.
'Cause I'm TNT, I'm dynamite.